Welcome to the 2 Feet First Entrepreneur Podcast. I am so excited to share today's topic with you because I think it's going to change your world, and I hope it does. I hope it helps you as much as it has helped me. And as always, thank you for joining me and allowing me to be part of your world. So with that, let's jump into this episode. We have all heard the phrase, content is king. And guess what? It is. Content is what brings our audience to us, and it helps them stick around. It's what they decide if they want to be a part of our world. So it is king. It is the resource that we all need to be able to grow our audience, grow our business, no matter what type of entrepreneur you are. Content, whatever you're producing and sharing, is king. So I'm going to talk about my blogging journey and kind of how this all comes together. So when I first started doing what I do, I was all over the place. So I started out sharing recipes, fitness, my home projects, you name it. I was doing it basically. And I finally hit a point, I think it was in 2017, if I remember correctly, that I figured out that people were actually making money off of sharing their content of what they were doing. And so I decided that the thing that I really loved doing was DIY home projects. And so that's what I was going to start sharing with everyone. And so I started creating this content, and I'd do a project. So example would be I redid my bathroom, and that would be a piece of content. Now with that, I would have to share to Pinterest and YouTube. And YouTube came a little bit later. I always have been sharing to Pinterest because I saw the value in Pinterest in the very beginning. It's actually has driven a lot of traffic to my website, which then makes me money off my ads that I have on there. And Instagram and Facebook, I put on the back burner because they were very, very difficult to be able to manage and maintain during this time. And I mean, that was even sort of with Pinterest, just so you kind of know, but I was using a tool that they had to schedule a bunch of stuff out at once. But back in the day, Instagram and Facebook, you need to post at least 5 times a day, every day of the week to be able to get noticed. I did not have that type of time to dedicate to that. And so I left out the social media part. And with this, we all know, because I hear you loud and clear, creating content is very time consuming and it can be very overwhelming. As content creators, we must expand our horizons and start thinking about ways to create unique and engaging content that will capture our audience's attention, but do it easier. Which brings me to the whole point of today's episode. We need to start expanding our content on, or another way I've heard it said is juicing our content. So listen up, because you will say by the end of this episode, why haven't I been doing this sooner? Or why haven't I been doing this? That's what I thought and said when I figured this out. I kind of took little bits and pieces from different people and pieced it all together into this item. So by the end of this, I hope you're saying that and thinking, oh my goodness, why haven't I been doing this forever? So we are talking about expanding our content. So what do I mean by expanding your content? Put simply, it's taking one idea and creating multiple pieces of content from that one idea. In my past, what I did would be for example, I learned this the hard way. I guess I had to go back and fix it. So I did a project. I'm going to share a project that I did. I redid my stairs So that required me to remove some carpet, to paint some stuff, some stain some stuff, some sanding, finishing. There was quite a process in that. And ready for this? That one idea of redoing my stairs was one post. One post. One piece of content that I shared. Just one. So what I'm talking about here is taking that one idea and expanding it into multiple pieces of content. So here's an example, and I'll get back to that stairs. Well, let's just start with the stairs one, actually. So the way I fixed that, the stairs, is now I have an overview makeover of my stair remodel, which then talks about each step inside there, but not into detail. So I have an overarching, and oh, by the way, this helps with SEO too. So the fact that I wasn't doing this before also affected my SEO. And so that's why I started doing it, is because I heard about it through SEO. So anyways, so you take that main overview of doing this, and I break it up into different little things. And then, so now I have a post. I think I have like 4 or 5 posts now. So one is about removing carpet from stairs. That's it. That's the one post. One thing. One step of the process is its own piece of content. But I'm taking it from the one main idea, which is also a piece of content. And then I have one about sanding the stairs because, oh my gosh, that was an issue in itself. And so everyone needs to know what not to do and what you should do. And then the next one was how to stain them, which there is a technique to that, because you can't stain all of them or you'll step on them. And then also finishing them. So maybe I only had 4 plus the main big one, which was then the 5 pieces of content. And so that's what we're talking about. And so here's some examples. So let's say I'm building a planter box. So instead of just doing a post about building a planter box, which you should still do that post, you should do also think outside the box. What are people asking? What do they want to know? What are you not answering or going in deep enough, like digging deep into a topic that people want to find out about? I mean, I can guarantee that there is something that you have read recently that you want to know more about. So my husband says this too. There's pieces of content that he's consumed and he's like, that's great, but I want to see it. I want them to break it down more. So that's what we're talking about with this. So building a planter box, what type of wood would be best to use outdoors? That could be a post, something that you talk about, because people are probably asking that. How to use X saw, like whatever saw you're using to create this, how to use it. Teach people how to use it before they even start. And then you'd have the build the planter box post, because you still should do that. And then one that I thought of is how to keep plants alive all summer, because you built a beautiful planter box. How do you keep them alive? What's some tips there? So it's thinking outside of the box. Another one that I heard was, and this is coming from a conference that I went to, a lady shared this one, and that's where this kind of even like expanded more for me about thinking outside of the box, about different steps and processes that you are not even thinking about, but people are. So the things that you don't think about are actually the things that you should be sharing. So those things that are just habit for you, that you just do automatically, and you think, oh, everybody's got to know how to do this, that's what you need to share. That is what I took from this. So her example that really stuck with me was she was talking about repurposing a piece of furniture from a thrift market or Facebook Marketplace. And so instead of just showing how to redo that piece of furniture, she said one of the posts that you could do was actually sharing how you find a valuable piece of whatever it is, item, furniture. How do you find that on a marketplace? What should you look for? How should you bargain? That list can go on and on, right? So it's breaking up these pieces of content into multiple pieces of content that you can share with your audience and answer those questions that they actually have. Now, this one that I'm going to share is actually the one that I used for this episode. So this is something that I'm doing for this episode. So this one is talking about my new system for social media creating content. So it's the new system that I have created. I've taken little bits and pieces here and there. I think that's how we always work things out. And so I am now going to be sharing that with you, but I want to share additional content with you as well. So thinking about content differently, which is this one today. Okay, that is this episode today, is we're talking about expanding our content. So we need to think about content differently and how to expand it and take one idea and create multiple things with that one idea. So that is one that I thought of. And then I want to share my simple social media strategy. And that'll be next week's episode, is I'm talking about what my strategy actually is. What am I doing? How can I share that with you? Because guess what? We all need to know, well, what's so-and-so doing? What's working? What's not working? And so that's what I'll be sharing next week. And then we need to do, how is it working 6 months from now? Did it do what I wanted it to do? Is it actually producing more? Is it easier? Am I getting the audience that I want with it? So those are 3 different ways that I can share from this one idea of just sharing my new social media system with you. I'm getting 3 pieces of content, and I'm actually going to do a 3-month and a 6-month showing you what the results are with it. So I'm going to get 4 pieces of content from it, because I do think I need to take 6 months, but I think in 3 months we should kind of have an idea if it's working or not. And then another one that I did with it is automate parts of that system. And so this automate parts would be making things work together to automatically share it different places, take that content that I'm creating and putting it in another area. And if you want to know more about this new system for creating social media and how I'm testing it out and how it's working, make sure you listen to next week's episode, because it's going into it. It's going to be episode 16, why I decided to test a new system to create social media content. That's what it's going to be called. It's episode 16. If you're listening to this in the future, you can go and find it. It's just the next one, or stay tuned for next week if you are here today. Okay, so how often do we need to be doing this? Because guess what? If I think of one idea, this is the pretty crazy part. If I think of one idea, I don't have to think of a new one all the time, because I'm taking that one idea and I'm expanding it. This is the pretty cool thing about it. I personally think that you could think of 12 new ideas for the whole year and have content for every week. So from that one idea, you can create 4 pieces of content. And I know that people say I run out of ideas on what to do, but if you're breaking it up like this, you're never going to run out of ideas. So think of it that way, is how often it's working smarter and not harder, and expanding that content, that one idea, into multiple pieces of content. And honestly, you're going to be answering the questions that people have, your audience has, that they're going to just want to come back for more. So that's what I'm thinking with that. And also, I have down here on my notes to automate the process of creating content. So by using some sort of tool or software, you'll be able to automate the system, the process, to know where you're at with everything and automatically create stuff. So it'll be a lot easier to be able to manage it. The benefit, if you really don't see the benefit, then this is not for you if you're not seeing it. But the benefit, obviously, is that you get multiple pieces of content from one idea, and you're filling in the gaps for your audience. Those are just, it's as simple as that. If you don't see the benefit in that you are going to have so many different pieces of content from one idea, and you're answering everything that your audience needs, That is the biggest benefit. And if you don't see it, I'm so sorry, but I hope you do. With that too, just as something that popped into my mind, I think of SEO with this. So when you have that one main idea, if you can't think of, well, what else could I create from this? If you go into Google and you search, hang on, I'm going to do it right now so that I can tell you exactly what it says, because I don't want to tell you wrong. Okay, so if you go into Google and you just type in the search box whatever your main idea is, okay? From there, you are going to be, lots of things are going to pop up. As I'm looking through here, there's lots of different things. I just did the planter box one because that's what we were talking about before. There's a section called People Also Ask. Okay, so I'm going to change this because this isn't giving me exactly what I want here. Okay, so I'm saying DIY planter box is what I'm searching for. And according to my keyword research, the volume search for this is 18,000 a month is how many people are searching for a DIY planter box. From here, I can see different planter boxes, but in that section called People Also Ask, this is what people are asking. This is what they're asking Google. This is the information that they want to know. So you could actually take these, if they sound really good, and create an article, a post from this. So some of these that are here, what is a cheaper way to build your own planter box? What kind of wood should I use for a planter box? Remember, we talked about that. What kind of outdoor wood should you be using? What can I use instead of a planter box? So you could come up with like alternatives to a planter box could be another post. If I just click one of these, it expands it and gives you even more ideas with it. Do planter boxes need drainage? How deep should a planter box be? So, I mean, you can just keep going, clicking down the arrows, and it automatically gives you more stuff on those ones that you do click on. So that is a great way to do that. There's also other websites that you can use. I think the one is People Also Ask. I think that's what it's called. Answer the Public is one of them. So Answer the Public is another Answer the Public is another software program that you can use where you'll just type in. So like if I type in DIY planter box into this, it's going to tell me, it's thinking right now, but it's going to tell me what people are searching for from that. And I just realized that it's searching not in the United States because I target in the United States first, that's where most of my traffic comes from. So make sure you keep in mind of that as well. Where are your people actually coming from, your audience? Make sure you're targeting those areas. And so what I found here when I searched this is how to make a planter box let's see, how to make a planter box out of panels, so like wood panels. How to make a planter box along a fence. How to build a planter box with legs. Yeah, so there's tons of different questions here that you could use these type of things to expand your content. So don't just feel like you're stuck with the one idea. Create multiple pieces of content from it. So I just gave you 2 ways to be able to find that yourself if you can't come up with it. So make sure you use those. These are both free. They're both free that I gave you. So Google itself, which I always start there. And then this Answer the Public also gives you some free data of what people are asking. So make sure you take that and use it to your advantage and start expanding your content. Take your one idea and make it into multiple. And with that, that's all I have for you today. I invite you to start expanding your content ideas into multiple pieces of content. It will help you produce more content, but it will also help your audience by filling in the gaps. I'm going to say that again. It will help your audience because guess what? You wouldn't have a business without an audience. It'll help your audience by filling in the gaps. You are doing this to help them. So make sure you're filling in those gaps as you're creating content. So take your one idea and fill in the gaps. So with that, I will see you next time.